Gatsby. He had a grand vision for his life since he was a boy.
I'm gonna fix things just the way they were before.
Just you and me. No amount of fire could challenge the fairy tale he had stored up in his heart.
Every kid has read this novel. It's part of the fabric of America in a lot of ways. But in the center of this novel is this incredible character that is Jay Gatsby, that's so filled with nuance and complexity. And what's made this novel and this character last for so many years, still discussed to this day, is the fact that everyone has their own interpretation of who this person is.
Shall we?
Did you get an invitation?
People aren't invited to Gatsby's.
Well, I was. Seems I'm the only one. Who is this Gatsby?
I immediately honed in on his emptiness. The fact that he was ultimately trying to fulfill his own destiny, this manifestation of what he wanted his life to become, this great Rockefeller of the 1920s, to become, as he puts it, a great man.
I mean, he's Hamlet. You know, that way lies madness, my friend. You know, certainly when it comes to him saying, repeat the past. Because as Nick Carraway will tell you, you can't.
It was the tragedy of somebody that was not in touch with his times or his personality or reality, and just held on to this childhood image of what he wanted his life to be.
What kind of a row? Are you trying to cause in my house anyhow?
He isn't causing a row. You're causing a row. Please have a little self-control.
Self-control? Oh, I suppose the latest thing is to sit back and let Mr. Nobody from nowhere make love to your wife.
Fitzgerald is on the record as saying that Tom Buchanan was one of the greatest characters that he ever created. So no pressure there then.
Yeah, Baz told me that early on in the shoot, and I wish that he never had. But I could see why. I just found I find it interesting that he allowed Tom to get Daisy at the end of this story. Partly because he was also openly on record saying that he despised characters or guys like Tom at college. And maybe it really showed that he had a very negative view of the world, that those pig-headed, kind of unintelligent, kind of established money guys were always going to win in the world.
Has that been borne out by your own experience?
Yeah, it always feels that way, doesn't it? It's also like I was saying the other day, like, you know, bad guys always, you know, it's like bad guys always get the girls, you know. It's a similar thing. I think it's like sometimes the world and the way it's set up as a game of winners and losers doesn't really fit a moral code.
Is all this made entirely from your own imagination?
A lot of people wouldn't carry the book. It was too shocking. You know, jazz, they said, African street music is a fad. Why are you putting this fad in the book? Why are you putting pop songs in the book? So all the choices, however bad they seem, and of course I can't disconnect myself from some of my own techniques, but my real focus, our focus was always to, if not, like, reveal the book to the extent that we're translating it into another medium and making it feel like it felt to read in 1925.
Baz introduced me to Ginevra King, who I knew nothing about, who was one of the inspirations for Daisy, and then also sort of led me to read a lot about Zelda Fitzgerald. And so I guess in reading about those women, they influenced me a lot, and that sort of lent some empathy to or at least the choices that Daisy makes. I kind of understood clearer, and understanding the time a little bit more. Ginevra was incredibly wealthy. You know, she came from a very sort of wealthy family, practically royalty, and the way that she talks about her obligation to them, she says in one of her letters, you know, I would marry anyone. She has this really sort of, you know, passionate feeling, very romantic. I'd marry anyone. I'd marry a pauper and a soldier. And then the next sentence, if I love them enough. And then she says, of course I could never go against the wishes of my family. That would be scandalous. And so, you know, you see exactly where Daisy is brought in there.
Daisy was the key for him, and ultimately she is this mirage. She is the green light. There was a very key passage in the novel where Nick describes what it was like for Gatsby to finally hold Daisy for the first time, and in his castle that he created for her, and yet he was still staring out at the green light.
Is there an irony in a story that's all about the emptiness of parties and wealth, premiering here in Cannes with a big wealthy...
Ideal. Yeah, absolutely. It's the perfect place for the film to open. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of Baz's home territory. I mean, it's extraordinary, and the fact that he wrote part of the novel 20 miles away, whilst his wife was having an affair down on the beach with a French pilot.
My life has got to be like this. It's got to keep going on.